I want to start today's video with a very simple question, one that touches something deep inside many of us. Have you ever wondered why some people don't even try, yet everyone seems to like them? They walk into a room and the atmosphere suddenly feels lighter. They sit next to you and somehow you feel calmer. They talk to you and you feel understood in a way that's rare. And maybe you've asked yourself why don't I have that kind of energy? Am I not interesting enough? Am I missing something that others seem to naturally possess? I've heard these questions so many times. Almost every week, one of my patients or students tells me the exact same thing. People who are smart, kind, hardworking, yet still feel unseen, unappreciated, or not truly liked by the people around them. And here's what's surprising. The answer has nothing to do with advanced social skills or communication tricks or trying to look more charming. It comes down to how you show up in the world, and this is where Stoic philosophy becomes incredibly powerful. A Stoic does not try to be liked, they don't try to impress, they don't try to win approval, they simply live according to their values, and that creates a natural presence people gravitate toward. I remember working with a young engineer in Boston, brilliant guy, hardworking, thoughtful, but he always felt invisible in his relationships. He told me, "I don't get it, I'm kind, I help everyone, but no one really cares about me. I feel like I'm trying so hard while they barely try at all." I looked at him and asked one simple question. Are you helping them because you genuinely want to, or because you want to be liked? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he exhaled and said softly, "Maybe both, but I think I wanted to be acknowledged." That was the turning point, because Stoicism teaches us that genuine respect and affection never come from actions with conditions. A Stoic becomes influential not because they try to be liked, but because they try to be someone they themselves respect. And when you respect who you are, other people naturally begin to respect you too. When you're calm, people feel safe around you. When you listen, people feel seen. When you don't judge, people feel free to be themselves. When you don't compete, people feel at ease. When you live honestly, people can sense it. One time, a middle-aged woman in California told me, "I don't understand why people like talking to me, I'm not even very outgoing." And I said, "Maybe it's because you're not trying to prove anything." That is what I want you to understand right from the beginning. The affection you want from others comes from the peace inside you, not from trying to impress people. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you how to become perfect, it teaches you how to become someone. Trustworthy, grounded, and genuine qualities create a quiet kind of magnetism, a presence that makes people respect you, trust you, and genuinely want you in their life. In today's video, I want to share 9 Stoic behaviors that naturally make people like you, not because you're trying to be special, but because you're living from the deepest, truest parts of yourself. Before we dive into the main content, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, how do I want people to feel when they stand in front of me? Calm, respected, safe, understood, inspired. Whatever answer appeared first in your mind, that is exactly what you're searching for in this journey. And now, when you're ready, let's step into the 9 Stoic behaviors that can transform not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. We just talked about presence. The quiet strength that comes from inner peace. Now let's begin exploring the first behavior, because in all my years of working with CEOs, teachers, engineers, young adults, and everyday people, I've witnessed something again and again. When someone starts behaving through the lens of Stoic philosophy, the people around them naturally begin to change too. Not because they try to change anyone, but because they radiate a different energy. And now let's begin with the very first behavior. Way 1, calm presence. The kind of energy people naturally gravitate toward. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You walk into a crowded room. People are talking loudly, debating, some even showing signs of tension. But in the corner of the room, someone is sitting quietly, not rushing, not interrupting, not trying to draw attention. Have you noticed that it's often that person you feel drawn to, not because of what they say, but because of their calmness? The Stoics call this inner posture, a state where you don't shake, even when the world around you does. I once worked with a CEO in California who admitted he wasn't great at communication, yet his employees deeply respected him. When I asked why, someone told me, he never lets anything rattle him. Being around him makes me feel safe. Calmness is a silent form of influence. It makes others feel like you are the safe place, not the storm. In a world full of noise, a calm person becomes an emotional magnet. And that's why this is the foundation of every Stoic interaction. Way 2, real listening, making others feel truly seen. Stoics don't try to speak more, they try to listen better. There's a huge difference between listening to respond and listening to understand. And you'd be surprised to know that most people only listen to respond. I once had a young patient in New York who struggled with relationships. He said, "People say I'm a good guy, but no one ever opens up to me." When I watched him interact, I noticed something simple. He always replied too quickly, as if he was preparing his response while the other person was still talking. I taught him a tiny exercise. Every time someone speaks, count to 2 in your mind before responding. Just that. But those 2 seconds worked like magic. They created a space where others felt safe to express themselves. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his journal, "No one can tell you what they truly think if you are not quiet enough to hear." Deep listening is a gift very few people know how to give, but when you do, when you truly listen, others feel respected. And respect is always the foundation of being liked. Way 3, lowering the ego by helping others feel comfortable around you. Stoics understand something very clearly. A big ego makes a small person. I remember a man I worked with, Saul said, 40 years old, talented, high income, extremely capable, and yet very hard for others to be around. No one wanted to collaborate with him, even though he was the smartest person in the room. During one session, I asked, "Why do you think people avoid you?" He paused for a long moment before admitting, "Maybe because I always want to win." It wasn't his fault. Most of us grew up believing we must prove ourselves, but Stoic philosophy gently reminds us, you don't need to win, you need to connect. When you lower your ego, when you stop showing off what you know, stop insisting on being right, stop fighting for the last word, people feel lighter around you. When you allow others to feel enough, they see you as someone who's easy to breathe next to. And that's worth more than any intellectual victory. Way 4, don't react with emotion, respond with reason. One of the characteristics that makes Stoics so likable is their emotional stability. Nobody enjoys being around someone who's reactive, explosive, or easily triggered. But everyone appreciates a person who stays steady even in conflict, misunderstanding, or criticism. I once worked with a woman in Texas who frequently got into heated arguments at work. She said, "I don't understand why I react so strongly, especially when someone says something I don't like." I taught her one core Stoic lesson. You're not reacting to what they said. You're reacting to the story you told yourself about what they said. Once she understood that, she began to change. Instead of reacting, she responded. Instead of getting angry, she asked questions. Instead of becoming defensive, she stayed calm. Just a few weeks later, her co-workers told her she had become easy to work with, trustworthy, more mature. Not because she changed her words, but because she changed the energy behind her words. When you stay calm in tense situations, you communicate something powerful. You can trust me, I am steady, I won't lose myself or lose you in the chaos, and people naturally gravitate toward that. Way 5. Don't take things personally. Other people's behavior reflects them, not you. This is one of the Stoic principles that has changed countless lives. Let me tell you about a student of mine in Seattle. He felt hurt because his boss spoke to him coldly, and his co-workers often seemed irritated around him. He always believed they disliked him. One day he asked me, "Why are they treating me this way?" I looked at him and gently said, "What makes you think their behavior has anything to do with you?" He fell silent, thought for a moment, and began to understand Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "People act according to their character, their pain and their ignorance, not because of you." Once you let that truth sink into your heart, you realize how much unnecessary energy you've wasted on misunderstandings that had nothing to do with you. No one wakes up in the morning thinking, "Today I'm going to make your life difficult." They're simply fighting battles inside themselves. When you stop personalizing everything, you become more generous, more gentle, less angry. You don't react impulsively, you don't take offense, you don't escalate situations further. And that makes you seem mature, grounded, trustworthy, the kind of person others naturally appreciate. We've gone through the first 5 Stoic behaviors: calm presence, deep listening, low ego, responding with reason, and not taking things personally. And I truly believe that if you practice even a few of them, the world around you will begin to transform. But that's only half the journey. The next 4 behaviors are deeper, subtler. They shape the quiet emotional gravity that Stoic people carry with them. Let's continue. Way 6. Quiet kindness. The strength that earns genuine respect. There are people who do something good, and then tell the whole world they did something good. And then there's another kind of person, someone quietly kind, not showy, not asking for praise, not waiting for recognition. Stoics belong to the second group. I once worked with an older man in Chicago. He worked at a local grocery store. Nothing about him stood out, and yet every co-worker adored him. Everyone said, "He has something warm about him, something gentle." When I asked him his secret, he smiled and said, "I just try to do the right thing, and then forget about it." He told me stories like, when a co-worker was overwhelmed, he covered their shift. When someone looked sad, he left a small coffee on their desk. If someone needed help, he offered it. If someone succeeded, he celebrated with them. If someone was tired, he supported them. No one knew how many things he did, no one knew who he helped, but everyone could feel his quiet kindness. That is the essence of Stoic goodness, giving without expecting anything in return. Seneca said, "Let your kindness be a part of who you are, not a strategy." And you know what's beautiful? The people who don't use kindness to prove something are the ones who are truly loved. Way 7. Gentle honesty. Telling the truth without hurting others. Stoics aren't fake, but they're not harsh either. You've probably met people who say, "I'm just being honest," but somehow their honesty feels heavy, cutting, even cruel. That's not honesty, that's a lack of skill. Stoics understand that truth should be delivered with kindness, not sharpness. I once helped a young manager in San Diego, extremely skilled, but disliked by his team. He was honest, very honest, but often too blunt, leaving people feeling attacked. I asked him, "Do you want to be right this day, or do you want people to actually learn from what you say?" He paused, and then laughed. We started practicing something I call truth with warmth. Instead of saying, "Sutta, you did this wrong," he learned to say, "Let me show you a better way." Instead of saying, "So I don't like what you did," he learned to say, "I think we can make this even better if we adjust a bit." Within a few weeks, something remarkable happened. His team liked him more, trusted him more, and most importantly, believed in him more. Do you see it? Honesty is not about tone. It is about intention. Telling the truth should never be an excuse to hurt someone. Stoics choose to speak truth in a way that makes the listener feel respected. Way 8, no comparisons, no competing creating a safe emotional space. One of the reasons Stoic individuals are easy to love is that they don't engage in hidden competition. They don't try to prove they're smarter. They don't try to win every conversation. They don't interrupt with, "I've experienced something bigger." They don't need to be above. They simply choose to be present. A young student of mine in Miami once said, "I don't like talking to my friend A because every time I tell a story, he tries to top it with something bigger, better, or more impressive." Have you ever met someone like that? Stoics don't behave that way. They don't turn conversations into competitions. They don't turn your story into their stage. They let you shine when it's your moment. They let you celebrate your joy. They let you ask questions without feeling judged. They create space for you to simply be yourself. There's a Stoic principle that says, no one rises higher by pushing others down. This non-competitive softness makes others feel safe, and anyone who makes you feel safe is someone you naturally want to be around. Way 9. The mindset of "I'm here to give, not to take." What makes you truly unforgettable? If you ask me, what makes someone genuinely lovable, I would say it's always right, it's their mindset. The Stoic mindset is not, "I'm here to get attention. I'm here to be liked. I'm here to gain approval." Their mindset is, "I'm here to contribute. I'm here to help. I'm here to connect. I'm here to listen." A close friend of mine, a psychologist in New York, once told me, "The reason my patients love working with me isn't my expertise, it's how they feel when they're with me." Do you know why? Because he walks into every session asking, "What can I give them today?" Instead of, "Will they like me today?" And the paradox, the beautiful universal truth is this. When you stop trying to be liked, you become incredibly easy to like. Stoics don't chase attention, but attention finds them. They don't chase respect, but respect flows toward them. They don't try to make people like them, yet they become the ones people like the most because they give, not to receive, but because it's who they want to be. And there's nothing more beautiful than that, no matter which one you choose. When you practice it sincerely, the world around you will begin to shift, quietly but profoundly. There's a quote from Epictetus that I share with almost every student I work with. Begin with what you can control, and everything else will fall into place. And what you can control today is the way you treat the people you encounter, not because you want them to like you, but because you're trying to become a better version of yourself. And the beautiful paradox is this: when you become a better version of yourself, you naturally become the kind of person others love. I want you to remember this for a long time. Your calmness is a refuge for other people. Your quiet kindness can be the light in someone's darkest day. Your gentle honesty might save a relationship. Your presence can make someone feel respected, and your willingness to give can create connections you never expected. We live in a noisy world, and a world where everyone tries to speak louder to be heard, show more to be noticed, and act perfect to be loved. But sometimes, what the world truly needs is one calm, sincere, non-judgmental person who knows how to show up with warmth. If today's video made you reflect, if it touched a part of you, if it inspired you to become a better human being for yourself and for the people around you, then I want to invite you to take one more step. Hit the like button, not just to support me, but to help others who are searching for peace, just like you, find this video. Subscribe to the channel Stoic Awakening More. Every week I share new Stoic perspectives, real therapy stories, and practical lessons you can apply immediately in your modern life, whether it's work, relationships, family, stress, or uncertainty. And leave a comment. Which of the 9 behaviors do you want to start practicing first? I read every comment. I want to understand your journey, to know where you are on the path toward becoming a calmer, deeper, more intentional version of yourself. Because Stoic Awakening More isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a community. A place where you can breathe, slow down, and learn how to face the world with a stronger, quieter heart. Thank you for spending your time here today. Thank you for giving yourself the chance to grow. And remember this, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be aware. And when you live with awareness, love naturally finds its way to you. I'll see you in the next video. Keep awakening. In your own way, Stoic Awakening More, where you become the strongest, calmest, and most lovable version of yourself.